business of the people here in Meriwether County. Father, we just are always thankful for your guidance and for your leadership. And Lord, above all, we're thankful for you and the gift of eternal life. These things we ask in Christ Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, no, I got that on my mind too.
All right, our first order of business will be to adopt the agenda. Do we have anything that we need to add? If not, can we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Madam Chair,
I'm sorry.
on number 20, budget amendment number 7, we're going to need to table that till the next meeting. We're not quite ready on that one yet.
Okay, we'll do that now. Okay, anything else? All right, if there's nothing else, can we have a motion to adopt the agenda? So moved. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, we have the minutes from the March 22nd work session and the March 22nd regular meeting. We've had a chance to look over those minutes. Are there any corrections or changes that need to be made?
I move they both be accepted as presented.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, we have our municipal comments. Mayor Glover?
Good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you. For information, I have a county employee contacted in regards to our city without working with the county on the parking down at the, I call it tax annex building. And we are cooperating with the county. And this past council meeting, which was the first Tuesday, the council agreed for us to dispose of the old police building. So as soon as we get that building taken care of, then we will get with the county and try to move it maybe in a parking area in the park.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Glover and I have actually been talking about that project
I
for
know
a
it,
while.
but I guess you wasn't aware of it.
All right, thank you. Any other cities? Am I missing anybody?
Randy's back.
Yeah. Mr. Carter, you have anything from Woodbury?
That's it. We got river cutting at the water plant at Lake Melwood.
Okay. When is it?
11 o'clock.
Oh, 11 o'clock to that. Oh, that's what you're.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good. It must have been
Anybody else?
dozing off or something.
All right, I don't think we have any of our constitutional officers here. Do we?
They're working.
All right, we'll move on to our department heads. Ron?
I don't have anything.
Ms. James?
I just want to give you a report on our Meriwether beautiful cleanup on April 3rd. We've got over 100 people that signed up to clean up, and there's 11 teams so far.
I have you 2 teams.
Right.
Okay.
So, I think it's going to be a very successful,
Okay. And we have a meeting this Friday, right?
Friday at 9:30.
Okay.
Here.
I was at the meeting in Lona and in Lucasville. I think one of the questions that keeps coming up is what can be put in the dumpsters as far as what will they accept, which we know they won't accept tires and refrigerators and things like that. But I'm not sure how we need to make sure we clarify what it is that's going to be that they can bring to the
I
dumpsters.
think we're supposed to have something in the paper, next week? And it'll have,
We'll clarify that.
and make sure that it's in there, what you can put in there.
That came up yesterday in the Lucasville town hall.
We're also telling the folks that pick up along the roads with the bags. They can't get them to the containers. They can leave the bags there and call us and tell us. And we will send the public works out to pick up those bags. The bigger items, they will have to take the containers. And they can take the tires, but not put them in the containers.
Put them to the side.
Madam Chair, I do have one thing to add. I spoke with the sheriff yesterday, and apparently they're having issues getting the the probationers to show up for cleanup and community service. So it's going to be paramount for people to show up and really get the word out and help clean up, because it's not happening through the sheriff's department. They haven't had anybody show up in 3 weeks.
I spoke to the sheriff too. We're gonna go back and talk. I've already met with the judge's probation department or whatever, and I asked yesterday after that, I asked the sheriff if maybe the two of us could go and just kind of reemphasize the importance of that. So we're gonna be doing that
Okay.
here very soon.
Well, I just have a question, Madam Chair. If the judge has allocated that you do public service, so apparently they don't necessarily say what that public service is, because if you've been, I'm just asking, if you've been allocated to do public service and you've been told to go to the sheriff department and you don't show up, is there any ramification for those who have been offered that? I mean, are they?
There should be, and I don't know that we've been as tough on that as we need to be. That's one of the things that the sheriff and I talked about yesterday is, if you've been sentenced to that and you don't show up, maybe you get picked up. If you didn't want to come to pick up trash, maybe you get picked up and you serve a couple days in jail, maybe Friday and Saturday, and then Saturday morning we'll take you out and let you pick up trash, and then, that way you'll show up next time. Some of the programs do indeed get sentenced to a particular program, not all, but we've got to reemphasize to probationers that these people in community service, you got to do that. If you don't do that, we're going to take some more strict action. I mean, that's one of the things the sheriff and I had talked about.
Well, I think we need to address it with the probation company. According to the sheriff, it's a private probation company. It's not a state-funded probation. So they're the ones that need to bring down the hammer, and I think that's an excellent resolution of the problem.
Right. Absolutely. So,
Okay.
Joey?
Nothing, everything's principle.
Hey, is that all the department heads? Okay, yeah.
I just wanted to tell y'all about summer camp. We've got 7 going this year to our overnight camp, but I've also got a lot of day trips planned, and I just need the kids to sign up to go. So, if you know these kids that have just graduated
came in.
4th grade, all the way to
Manchester
just
City Manager.
graduated 12th grade, we're going lots of cool places. Also, if you happen to know of any mode of transportation that might be available to the 4-H to borrow, that would be great as well. I put 4-H newsletters out here on the table, also our summer activities guide, so you can check that out and see what's going on. Also, if you ordered onions, they should be in the first and second of May. Thank you.
All right, Carolyn with the chamber.
Just a few quick things, please, ma'am. First, I want to thank the Board of Commissioners for their pledge of support for our chamber for this year. And to remind everyone of our annual meeting next Thursday at 5:30 p.m. And it is open to anyone who would like to attend. You don't have to be a member to attend, and it is $30 if you would like to come. Also, as you all know, we are having a primary in May. So our chamber will be organizing a candidate forum sometime in May, at least 2 weeks prior to that. So we're looking at either the 10th, 12th, or 19th, and we'll be making that decision tomorrow as to which of those dates. But we're going to have some conversation with our board, with our governmental affairs group, because if everyone were to show that needs to be there, we would have over 18 candidates, because there are 9 running for West Woodland seat. And Josh will have competition as well as our local elections. So we're going to need to talk about how to narrow that down, because that's just way too many to manage in one forum. And I will let you all know on the dates just as soon as we finalize that. Also, as you know, the school system is hosting their College and Career Expo this Friday. So if anyone can come out and just kind of show you up and show your support for that, that would be great. They're also requesting cases of water. If anyone has a case of water they would like to donate, they can deliver it to the central office there at the school, or if you call me, I'll take care of that. They've been very generous in arranging for 5 cases to be delivered, so we appreciate that. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Westbury from Manchester came in. You have anything from Manchester?
Thank you. I apologize for being late.
That's okay.
Since I was here last week, we had the dues for the goodie plant. So, it was 10 years ago this year that it closed, so it's a long time coming. New owner, Global Track Warehouse, a worldwide company. They only had 3 locations in the United States before Manchester came about. Manchester will be the only one in the southeast of the United States. They're already working on refurbishing the building, getting power, electricity, water, all the utilities connected. Hopefully, within the first year, they'll be able to warehouse and distribute from that plant. And their plans are in 3 years to be manufacturing at that plant. And looking upwards to 150 jobs created. They also, the building is 3 or 4 times larger than anything they have. And they are looking to lease parts of that building to as many as 4 other companies that will also be coming in and creating jobs. And I have information on those companies. Also, last week, the president and CFO of EcoBelt came down from Canada and informed me that they are planning a $1 million expansion at the Manchester plant. Currently, they produce about 6,000 pounds, 6 million pounds a month of metal that is used primarily to make aluminum wheels for automobiles. They're wanting to increase capacity 5 million more pounds per month. This will probably be 20 or less additional jobs, but still shows that everything is going strong for that company. They extremely believe it will require getting its spur put in by the railroad and all. A little while coming up there in a hurry. Industrial and commercial wise, things are really looking up. We also have a new owner of an old doctor's building on West Main, closed for many years. Dennis has purchased that and sell it to us. That would be. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
That's all good news.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else perhaps I overlooked? Okay, we don't have need for a public hearing. And we're going to the old business, this appointment to the Recreation Advisory Board. Do we need to?
We did not have any recommendations on that, which is back on the agenda as old business.
Okay, so we just need to table. Yeah. Okay, can we have a motion to table that, please?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? All right, first under new business will be Vic Dallas, an update from the Recreation Department.
Okay, we've been real busy here lately. This is our time of year. Oh, excuse me.
We got Randy here as well. We'll put you on the spot.
All right. This is our time of year in recreation. Back in March, we finished up our basketball program. We had about 20 kids, boys and girls. It went very well. We picked some all-star teams, won our district tournaments, and went to state tournaments all over the state. 2 of our teams got to the semifinals. We are currently in our 2nd week of baseball, girls softball. We've got about 310 kids participating on 25 teams. We play every Tuesday and Friday in Manchester, and every Monday and Thursday in Woodbury behind the George E. Washington School. So far, so good. Next week is spring break, so we won't have any games scheduled. I'm looking forward to that break. Coming up, we're fixing to start registration for our T-ball program, 4, 5, and 6-year-olds. Also, our older group of kids, 13, 14, 15s, we'll start signing up for that group. We're currently in the process of organizing a ladies basketball league. We've got a good group of ladies that want to participate. We haven't had that I know of. We don't have a whole lot of athletics for ladies. So we're excited about getting this started. Also, we've got some summer camps. We've got a little sports camp in Manchester, first couple weeks in June. I've met with a group that's looking at doing the camp in Woodbury, and they also do the camp in Luthersville. I think it's more academically oriented, but that's about it. As far as the county, our goal is to increase participation. We're working on that. It's slow going. I mean, our plan is to do the best we can with the programs we are offering and try to get as much participation as we can and let them know, hey, we got this. It's going to be well supervised. You're going to have a schedule. You're going to, kids are going to have fun, and hopefully, over the course of time, the participation will pick up. But we are pretty much wide open right now.
25 teams is a lot of teams.
It is. It's real busy.
I was at the softball games yesterday evening, and there was a lot of people there too.
Playing in the mud.
Yeah, there was.
Really do appreciate what Vic and Randy Carter, don't want to overlook Randy. He's been a big part of the program as well, and running the gym down in Woodbury, and everything's going well. These guys have been very responsive, and we've got out, we've taken a look at our facilities that we have, and with a little work, we're going to be able to expand things and move even further.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Ms.
What
Rowland,
time are the games?
5:30 and
In
6.
Georgia, they start at 6. In Manchester, they start at 5:30.
One more thing, I got a big, we're gonna start marketing our ready, like the post I gave you there.
Right.
Let everybody see it. We got a company out of Noonan with the help us out, the market, the posters and everything. Help the price up. That way we can start putting it in stores, and we put up signs out there, people going around taking the signs up. So we're gonna start marketing to the better stores and stuff.
That's what we did with the ladies, what they did with the ladies basketball. It worked real well.
All right, we appreciate it. Okay, next on the agenda, we have a proclamation for LifeLink. This is the National Donate Life Month for LifeLink, and no one could be here from their company today, but we have done a proclamation for them, and we'll be certainly getting it to them. And can we have a motion to accept this proclamation? So moved. We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, next on the agenda is a proclamation for Child Abuse Prevention Month. That is for the month of April. Commissioner Plant and I were able to attend the kickoff for that at Warm Springs Medical Center, I guess a couple of weeks ago now. And we actually read the proclamation and all then, and we have a copy in your package. And we would just like to make a formal vote on that, and I think all the commissioners have signed it, and we'll be getting this proclamation to them. So can we have a motion to accept the proclamation for Child Abuse Prevention Month, which is for the month of April?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Okay, next is about the moratorium on our special events.
Yes, sir. Madam Chairman, Commissioners, of course, Ron has been working very hard on our special events ordinances, and has met with Ron and myself several times, including just earlier this week. And what we're going to ask the board, Ron is about ready to take this back. It's got to go through your planning group, and so we're going to have a little time to get that advertised and then get it taken care of. So what we're asking, I had the agenda here says June the 30th, but I'm asking if you guys would consider pushing that through June the 30th, and that'll allow us plenty of time to get it advertised, and it'll be coming back to the board for your final review and decision.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we have a motion to extend the moratorium until June 30th?
So moved.
All right, second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, we have a hold harmless agreement for private property access.
Madam Chairman, Commissioners, this is really an agreement that we do through Public Works, and it is there's a right of entry of what it is to be able to allow us to get onto private property to like pull ditches and other things. The reason you do this, of course, is if you have drainage, and if you don't correct that drainage, it impacts the county road, so therefore we can do that. I think it's always a good idea to put these in the agenda and have it in the minutes, and so therefore this is what we had, and so we asked that it be brought and recorded into the, to the minutes. In case there's any question of what we were doing there, they'll know exactly what we were doing.
Okay. All right, we have a copy of the agreement for the private property access of Leon Culverson. Have a motion to accept this.
So moved.
We have a second. Second. All in favor? Next, excuse me, is a request for a name change on a section of Old Raleigh Road. This is in my district, and the citizens there have presented me with a petition with all the landowner signatures on it, and y'all were going to verify that they were all there. Do you have anything you want to say?
The only thing I would say is I talked to Mr. Hudson yesterday, and he wanted to be sure everybody understood that the name change was from Arthur Brown Road to Charlie Hatchet Road, and would not involve the whole road. There'd still be a section that would be named Old Raleigh, but that's a section they were interested in getting changed.
Okay. And I believe that name change is Brooks Bowden Mill Road.
That's right.
For the families there, and it was at one time a mill on that road. All right, do we have a motion to accept this request for a name change?
I move we accept the name change.
Have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, request from the town of Gay to acquire a lot on Church Street.
Chairman, Commissioners, there's a very, very small lot in the town of Gay. This is the little lot here, and it's on Church Street. It's in the county's name because we bought it in for tax purposes. And the city of Gay is interested in trying to do something with us. I don't know what their plans are, but they did ask for consideration of whether or not the county would allow them to obtain this lot. And of course, as I say, it's bought into the county for taxes. There's very little taxes on it. It's just a very small lot. It's only like 0.17 acres, and it's only valued at like $2,400. And my recommendation would be, I think, Susan, about all we can do is give them a quick claim deed to it.
Sure, that would be easy, easiest route.
Right, and so my recommendation, we give them a quick claim deed to this lot with the understanding that if they ever redeem it or sell it, that our taxes would be collected, anything that's back taxes from the county, if we can do that or include that. So my recommendation would be to convey that to them. And hopefully they can do something with it, and maybe get it back in the tax books at some point, because we aren't getting anything off of it right now.
Okay. All right, hearing this recommendation, we have a motion regarding the request.
I move that we quit claim the .17 acres to the town of Gay.
Okay, we have a second? Second. All in favor? Okay, next is a donation from the town of Lone Oak for the animal shelter.
Yes, Madam Chairman, Commissioners, the town of Gay sent us a check for $500, just as a donation and their appreciation of the animal shelter to be able to be used for supplies or anything we need at the shelter. And so I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention and just say thank you for the donation.
Town of Olono?
Total Lone Oak, yeah. I still was back in the other town.
That's all right. But we certainly do appreciate your donation. And I'm certain somebody has written something to them to thank them for, or we will.
We just got it.
Okay.
We sure. And I'd call them and thank them, but we'll get something else.
Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is the Lamine application for road striping.
Road striping. And I gave each of you a copy of the roads that we're going to be including in that. Ms. Beth this morning signed the application, and I'll fill out the rest of the forms, and we will take that and, yeah, I'll let you one. All right? Let me get you one, I'm sorry. Now, I put your other stuff down, I wasn't sure, I hadn't seen you, but.
You can have mine there.
Okay, I'm sorry. knew I made enough copies, but that is the list of roads we've gone in and we've estimated. I will point out just a couple roads. Maybe I can find my list here. There is one, I think it's Gold Mine Road. Let me double check that. That is only a center line. And the reason it is only center line is because we're going to resurface that road hopefully next year. And, but considering the load of traffic and all there, we still feel like it is important to be able to go ahead and put a center line stripe on that road.
Is that the one for Moss Road as well?
That Moss Road is, the reason for it is just a small, short section of roadway. But those are the only two that are center line only. Everything else we calculated at edge line and center line. And what we'll do is we'll receive 70% funding, hopefully for all of these roads from GDOT, and then we will go ahead and write out a RFP and proposal to be able to let those, and we'll get those going. Hopefully we'll get them all striped this summer, we'll be ready. And
what was the total mileage, do you know right offhand?
It was 57
That's fine. Close to-
or so miles. I got it on my list that I penciled in. It's almost 60 miles
Okay.
of road.
All right, do we just need a motion to accept this application? All right,
Yes,
we have a motion to accept the application for the road striping. So moved. I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? All right, next is the LaMig application for the courthouse wall and the Greenville Square project.
Madam Chairman, Commissioners, we've been talking about this for quite a while, and I called a couple weeks ago to check on and see where everything stood with this project. Because originally, GDOT was just going to bid it, we were going to cover the cost of the wall. When it got to Atlanta, they decided, hey, let's just fund this like it's a LaMig project. So that's what they're going to do. So I am waiting. I talked yesterday with the engineering company that helped us formulate the original estimate on this. There's been a little bit of change. There's a little island they're going to put in as part of the project. So with that, they're going to update the numbers for me. And as soon as we get those numbers in, which I hopefully will be in the next day or so, we'll go ahead and we'll submit that application. But instead of the lump sum dollar amount for the wall, we're going to just pay for 30%. And when I get the total in, I'll know how that compares back to just paying for the wall. But I'm hopeful that it will be a better deal for us, and that is my hope. The other downside of that is that we may end up having, since it's a LaMig project, we may end up having to bid this. But that's okay too. We can put that together and do it, and then we'll get everything taken care of in one contract. So
does that change, excuse me, I'm sorry, does that change then with the state? Because at one time the state was going to do the complete project as one bid.
Right, and it will end up being under the bid. What they will do is they will pay for 70% of the project, and then most of the time over the bid, they're going to ask the county to bid. So what we would do is we would end up bidding it, but it would not only be for the courthouse wall, it would be for the entire project.
Okay.
And so,
Kind of shifting.
that's right, shifted what they were going to do. I thought that we were just going to be able to just pay our portion of it, but I think they're going to pay their portion, and we may end up having to bid. So that's okay. We can take care of that, and I'm hoping that paying the 30% is advantageous to us financially. So we'll check that. I'll know that just as soon as I know what our numbers are, and I'll bring that back before we do anything to move forward.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, next is the engineering agreement with CHA.
I'm Chairman, Commissioners, I did make you guys a copy of that. You got that one, too. Thank you. This is really just a working agreement saying, hey, we're authorizing and they're agreeing to be able to accept work orders from us. If we have a bridge, say, that we want to do some work on, then they would be able to work up the engineering for us, the price on it, but they wouldn't move forward with anything until they came back and said, this is what, would be the charge. It also does not prohibit us from seeking other engineering firms if we wanted to do that, but this is basically just a master agreement where they're authorized to work for us. They don't want to move forward until they know that we have some kind of relationship. Now, they're coming today, and I'll talk about it a little further. FEMA's coming as well, so we're going to go this afternoon and look, and FEMA's already here going over some other things. We're going to look at those roadways that have been washed out, and we're going to go ahead and we have Claw Harbor, the engineers here. They'll know exactly, there'll be no loss of relaying messages from one to the other on exactly what we need to be able to do this project. So this is just simply a master agreement. I've looked at it. Was late getting Susan a copy of it. I don't believe there's going to be anything in there that's going to be problematic, but I would ask for the board's approval contingent upon final review by the county attorney.
Oh, okay, so this afternoon.
Okay. Madam Chair, I do have a question. I know that they've done work for the county before.
I think they've done some work
Yeah.
here before.
Yes, sir.
I know I'm familiar with other jurisdictions they've done work in, and they've done a good job.
But I just want to get clarity. This master agreement is just saying that in case if there is a project that they will be looked at, but still everything has to be bidded out.
Well, you don't have to bid professional services, but let's just say somewhere down the road, we wanted to build a library, we wanted to build whatever.
Okay.
This in no way ties them into that project.
Okay.
What it does is said, hey, if you want us to do that, we'll give you a work authorization and we'll proceed forward. What we have done is we've asked them to come because we've got to move forward with these bridges.
Okay.
And we've asked them to come and work with us on that. I didn't really want to lose the months worth of time that it would take to bid it. But anything they do for us, there'll be a work authorization because as you read it, there's no dollar amounts in there.
Right,
It's just
okay.
saying we'll give you a work authorization.
Okay.
But also it doesn't preclude us from getting someone else to work on projects too.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can we have a motion regarding this professional service agreement with CHA?
I move we accept the agreement, Madam Chair.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Second.
All in favor? All right, then we have quite a few budget amendments that need to be here. I guess we need to take these one at a time.
Yes, ma'am, we do need to take them one at a time so you guys can vote on them. I'll talk about the two in 2015 first, and then y'all can vote on those. As you know, we finished the audit, and budget number 7 and 8 for fiscal year 2015 are just housekeeping budget amendments to get our computer numbers in line with the audit numbers. Budget number 7 is all the entries for the general fund that we need to do to get those lined up. And number 8 is for the rest of the funds, date fund, jail fund, and et cetera. There's a lot of numbers there to look at, but in essence, it's already done. We've already had the audit, and all you guys need to do is just
Just putting it in its proper place.
correct.
Is that right?
On our side, it's in the proper place on the audit side, but we're just getting it in the proper place in our accounting system. So going forward, we'll be where we're supposed to be.
Madam Chair, I have a question. So,
Sure.
Bill, are you saying where you have those different codes, 13-1310, that would be the number that would represent the general fund? Like each one of them have a...
Yeah, each of those are departments within the general fund that we're either moving money to or moving money out of.
And that number will follow each transaction?
Right.
Okay.
But we still need to take these one at a time, so can we have a motion on the amendment number 7, which is a 2015 amendment,
And that was for the general fund.
and that was to the general fund. Can we have a motion to accept this budget amendment?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. All right, the next one is budget amendment number 8, and that is coming through some of the other accounts like the date fund, jail fund, law library, drug forfeiture account.
And those funds we don't normally budget for, we just adjust expenditures to match what revenue we took in during the year, and that's what these entries are for, to get those in balance.
Okay. All right, do we have a motion to accept the amendments for those accounts mentioned?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. All right, budget amendment
20.
number 1, this will be for 2016.
Let me find that one. Beverly saving paper, she's cutting on the back. That's good. Good for you, Beverly. Saving paper. These are unbudgeted grants, donations, et cetera, that we received the first 6 months of the year that they're not in the budget. So for me to add them to the budget, y'all have to approve them. Because if I put them in the budget without you approving them, I can go to jail. And I don't want to do that. But that's what these are. Number 1 is the $50,000 grant we got to go towards the animal shelter edition. I'll just go down the line right quick and then y'all can go back and vote on them. Budget number 2.
I don't want that placed in the general fund. I want it placed in the animal shelter fund. I know it's in the general period, but I want it in that line item.
It's totally segregated, and that's proper accounting procedure for grants, is to do that. I called the auditors and got their opinion on that. And
We'll make sure every,
it's got its separate cost code.
I don't care what they say, I want it in that line.
But
For the
we
animals?
still have to
I
fall
do.
within the legal
I know, it needs to
ramifications.
be there so we can justify it to those people, in my opinion.
We'll be able to, because it's a separate line item, totally separate.
Is that true for all grants that you get?
Yes.
Any money that you get? So every grant has to be in a
Unless it's,
separate line item, even though it,
yes, ma'am.
my concern is kind of like Commissioner Trigger, you don't, because when you get money in grant, it's project driven and you don't want it to be used other than what it is.
Right, that's why you set up separate line item cost codes for those grants, and by doing that, they come in a section of the budget that only I can access. Nobody else can use those, which puts extra work on me as far as purchase orders, but, I mean, that's generally accepted accounting standards.
The auditors
that.
double check that too, right, to be sure.
So in that case, the grant money that was given for Lake Meriwether also has to be put in.
It will be in the general fund, but it'll have a separate
Line item.
line, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But to make things more difficult, and to answer another question for me, when I asked about the amount that's in the animal shelter now, I was told that those were donations and grants that are reflected in that line item over a year ago.
Those are donations.
Okay. So is that,
This is a grant.
It's that ones that, well,
okay.
But it,
Maybe for clarity purposes, if I understand, the number that you've got set up here is indicative for this particular grant, nothing's only one.
yes, ma'am.
So
It's,
if that number's referenced.
So that means each time you get a grant or a donation, each one will have a different number. So say what this is 000, the next one will be 001 or 002.
the difference between the donation and a grant is grants have strings attached, and you may have to account for those funds, whereas donations, you don't really have to provide any accounting for that.
So donations can go in the general fund without having to have a line item.
well, they're that separate. They got their own line item over here,
Okay.
On that for the animal shelter as far as donations.
But it still goes in the general fund.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Okay.
On this particular line item, when the smaller grants that are coming in from this particular donor, will they go into that line item, or do they go into?
Well, we
this?
budgeted anticipating that we would get a couple of those smaller ones. We went ahead and budgeted for those in the animal shelter donation line item.
So you're saying that those are segregated out from?
Or we could put them in that line item.
I think that's some of the confusion, if I understand what Commissioner Craig is saying.
Yeah, because if it's all a grant, because a small one is still not donations either, if we classify it under that particular.
What about the ones like we get on a quarterly basis that we request?
Yeah.
Or maybe we ought to put it in the same one with the
We can do that.
this
That's no
larger
problem.
one then.
That's no
And
problem.
maybe if you segregate those out between those line items.
But we'll be able to, it will be real clear what the costs associated with that grant are.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense, I'm just not happy with it, so go ahead.
I can ask this, if we're about to start spending those funds, what if we could give the board just an updated, maybe once a month, update on what we spent, what's come out of that? And that way, you'd all know, hey, we had X dollars, and we spent Y to this point, and then, if we spend and do some other things.
Because this one is going for a particular project. Those that we get on a quarterly basis, we're using those a lot of times for just day-to-day expenses. Is that correct?
That's correct. That is correct.
We can certainly give it a monthly report on
Because we
how
do know we're
it
going to need to
is.
get some kind of report to the donor
Yes, that's
as
right.
well.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Okay.
We definitely want to do that. We do have DLC on the site, but I'll talk about that more in just a minute.
Yeah, I think a monthly will be fine.
Okay. We have a motion regarding the amendment number 1, which is the animal shelter grant. Do we have a motion to accept the amendment?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Budget amendment number 2.
That is the check from our insurance carrier for the backhoe that was stolen.
Okay, this is again just moving it to the proper,
We have to recognize it
As
as revenue.
as revenue and then where
Then
it's
expense it out.
expense account. Okay, can we have a motion regarding the receipt of the insurance money for the stolen backhoe amendment number 2?
I move to be accepted.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right, budget amendment number 3, I'm sorry, number 3.
Number 3 is insurance check that we received for the damaged dump truck.
Okay. So again, this will come in as revenue and then be put
Exactly.
into an expense account. All right, do we have a motion to accept amendment number 3?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. All right, number 4.
This was a grant that Chief Tucker received from the Georgia Association of Emergency Medical Services to be used to buy equipment on the ambulances.
Okay. Here's the amendment to move this, to accept it as revenue and then to put it in an expense account. Amendment number 4. All right, we have a motion to accept it.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. All right, amendment number 5.
Amendment number 5 is the GDOT check we got for work specifically for Montgomery Road. That will be set up on the revenue for that, and expense line will be strictly for Montgomery Road.
But I don't have a
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, this is for the LMIG money, the $145,000. And we have a motion to accept amendment number 5.
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. All right, amendment number 6.
The auditors requested that we handle the clerk's authority technology fund grants that the court clerk gets periodically during the year. In the past, we've just charged expense to one of our line items and then just reimbursed that line item. But we have to recognize it as revenue and let it have its own expense line going forward. So that's what this is. She used the money to purchase a microfilm reader.
Okay. All right, we have a motion to accept amendment number 6 regarding the microfilm reader.
Motion to accept.
And have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, where does this money derive from?
It's from fines that collect through the court system.
Okay, the fines out of the court system.
Yes, sir.
And sometimes if there's an access on a record search as well.
Yeah.
There's a surcharge on, and that surcharge goes back into this, and then what the clerk's authority does is redistribute some of those dollars along with the other back to the different clerks for
Okay.
equipment use.
All right, all in favor? All right, and when we adopted the agenda, we went ahead and took off of the amendment number 7, right? So
We need an official table in it.
do we need to vote to officially table? Is it done with the, okay, we have a motion to table amendment number 7.
So moved.
Second?
So,
All in favor? Okay. All right, next on the agenda will be the finance report. I don't see that.
You've got a couple of reports there in front of you. The first one is the tax analysis. The current tax year 2015, Commissioner's Office is at 92.44% collection rate. State of Georgia requires them to be at 95% by the time that next year's tax digest is adopted or developed. So they've got a little ways to go. Hope they get most of that. But with that said, the prior years are all, really strong. Even though it adds up to $400,000, which we would love to get, but they are working. They get a little bit each month for each of those years, so they're working hard to get that collected. Got any questions, I can try to answer those on that. Now, the last report is the county bank balances. The general fund is still strong. Hopefully, in the next couple of months, we'll be paying out some of the LMIG funds we've collected, and that'll put a big dent in that balance. So I anticipating putting out RFPs for the TAN sometime in May and June, which is 4 or 5 months later than we did last year. So I'm encouraged about that. The EMS balance, we're getting a check for that today, to transfer that to the general fund. We'll be writing a check to the chamber for the hotel motel tax on that one. 911, we'll transfer that balance to general fund as we need it. And the landfill amount, Darren and I are going to try to meet with auditors in the state to get approval to lower that amount. That seems like a lot of money to have there.
Madam Chair,
In there.
you go to the state, have you decided what percentage? Is it percentage or a certain amount?
They have a formula that they use based on,
The number, how long it's been closed?
Yeah, it's basically to come back in and be sure that you could address any issues that are outstanding on closure. Thing is, we haven't had any real issues. Nothing's migrated off, so we shouldn't have any issues there. And so therefore, we feel like it wouldn't take those kind of dollars to close that. Our engineer is also working on, and he'll give us an estimate of he thinks this is what it would take. And then what we'll do is we'll go back and we'll ask the state to allow us to remove those dollars. And the reality is, you could always turn and budget if you had to future dollars toward that. So, Bill and I've talked, our issue is just letting this dollar sit here unused. So we want to be able to see what we can do about moving that, into another category.
and the last thing that I've got is just to give y'all a heads up that we're entering the budget cycle part of our year. We'd like to have this the agencies come in, state agencies come in on May 10th. That's the Wednesday morning meeting to present their budget request. I'll have them beforehand, and you'll have a copy of them to review, but they want to come in
May
on...
the 11th is our meeting.
I got the wrong date, May 11th, sorry. The Wednesday morning meeting. At that point in time, and then either at the night meeting that month or the Wednesday morning meeting in June for y'all to vote to approve those, so they'll have those to present to the state for their budget request for next year as well. And concurrently with that, Tara and I are going to start meeting with the department heads and constitutional officers as early May to start that process. We've got 6 months of cost data that we can use to project, what their final numbers are going to be, and they can develop a budget from there. And of course, if you guys want to be involved in that, we'll get you a schedule and go
I
from
think it
there.
went well last year. I think we
It did.
divided up 2 at a time and set in on some of them, and I think that went well.
Yeah.
So if we can do that.
It's going to be even better this year. Some point in July, I'm not sure when the tax digest is due to the state this year. It's later than what has been in the past, but we're going to, based on our revenue projections and those kind of things, we're going to ask you guys to approve the millage rate so they can submit the tax digest
In July.
sometime in July, I'm thinking. And then September 27th, everything will be finished, and we'll ask you guys to approve the budget for next year. That'd be that's the night meeting in September. That's a tentative schedule. We'll iron those dates out and get that schedule to you.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Any questions for Bill?
Just one question.
Sure.
I want to revisit the landfill for just a second.
Sure.
If we were to have any activity in the future, or any time in the future, I guess is what I'm looking at, would we have to maintain more or less in escrow? Could the state come down and say, if you want to have a receiving station there, then would that change this figure? Would it move it up and down?
I don't think a receiving station would cause you any problem.
Only pertinent to the landfill cover itself?
This is the closure.
Okay. Okay.
Right. I mean, if you go in, and we've left that open as an option going forward. We didn't want to say, no, we're not going to do this. We left it open as an option. So we could do that if we needed to, and as long as we policed it very well, managed it very well. I don't see you'd have any issue with that, because if you're a collection station, you're moving it somewhere else, you're not putting anything on the ground, there's no issue to, in terms of closure, and I don't think you'd have any issues with it.
Today, any testing that's done down there, any restoration we have to do, that's coming right out of the general fund.
Correct.
That's right. This is reserve dollars.
The monthly methane testing and then the yearly report they do comes out of the general fund.
Okay.
And I've checked those every month when they come in. We have not had any migration off. And not only have we not had any migration, we also own the land, that kind of surrounds it. So, if it migrated some, it'd still be on county property. But there's been no migration whatsoever. And methane is, with the decomposition of materials, is what you get. So to have methane is not an issue. It's going to occur naturally. So, but I think you're only looking at closure.
Sure. Okay. That was my question. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, we'll have a report from Mr. Gay.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chairman, Commissioners, thank you. I want to introduce, I think you guys have met King Evans, but King Evans with...
Sorry, I found a new shortcut out of Griffin.
I forgot to tell y'all, the road is torn up and doing this thing. But anyway, King, earlier the board did approve the master agreement contingent upon legal review, and I don't think there's any issues with that. So, and we do have, I meant to catch up, we have FEMA coming, they're here today, So about 1 o'clock, we want to ride and take a look at these bridges with them.
Yes, right, our guys will be here till 11.
Okay, fantastic, thank you. And other things I've got, just to give you an update on things. You asked earlier about how many miles of striping, and amongst my papers, I found my documents, 68.67 miles of striping is what we're looking at this year. And we've got the paperwork in on the summer day camp with Miss Ball. I want to get with, with Beverly and with Susan to be sure we've got everything. We've got the insurance and the 501c3 documents and everything. So everything should be ready to move forward with that program. A couple things locally. Miss Jane was in the Georgia Trend magazine. We'll be sure you guys saw that. And in addition to that, Mr. Robert and others were in the Georgia Outdoor News about Lake Meriwether, and I think that he's had a lot of interest in that since that article came out. So I wanted to recognize both of them. You guys had already mentioned the county cleanup day that is coming, and let's see, a couple people I wanted to recognize. We have a couple people who completed the certified commissioner training. We got Commissioner McCoy, who has completed that training. Also, Bill Gregory has completed that training. They both have been received their information back from ACCG, and I think you'll be getting your certificates and recognition at ACCG. But we wanted to just recognize them and thank them for the efforts that it took to complete that. And you guys have also, you were already completed.
Yeah, we've completed.
Yeah, you've already
We just got
completed that.
certificates
Right.
this time.
Right, so.
I think
Ms.
Commissioner
Hines has
Ms.
finished it too, but.
The
You're
field
finished?
work, yes.
Yeah. And we'll have,
And the cowtail would be there.
well, I think you guys are on track to have the entire board in a very short order to be certified commissioners. That's one more class. Yeah, that's phenomenal to be able to have that. I bet there are very few counties that have everybody certified. So that speaks well to you guys. So we appreciate what y'all are doing. A couple other things just to mention. Bill mentioned the LMIG funding. We have received that check. We're going to be able to allow that to be able to hopefully use some extra FEMA money to be able to fix that road. CSX, just an update on that issue. I have called Mr. Welborn, our GDOT board member. I've spoken with him. I've spoken again with Lynn Westmoreland and Lynn Westmoreland's assistant on that matter. I've talked back to CSX. I have called a little bit about Representative Trammell. I've spoken to him and he's helped on it. So still don't have a response. I tried to call them. I don't know whether they're just not answering my phone or what, but they'll just have to listen to it ring. So I'm going to keep on until we can get everything squared away on that. The animal shelter I mentioned earlier this week, the guys from Department of Correction were down, and they moved their construction trailer in last week. They've already started demolition on the old outside facility. They've taken the fencing and all down, and they're ready to roll. So works real well. We are going to get them a set of the plans, and then they're going to do a takeoff on that so we can turn around and bid all the materials for that project. And looking at it, when we reviewed it, we did, and they recommended that we're going to do a couple of changes. One, there was a roof that was the pitch of the roof was going to drop water in between the buildings, and we didn't think that was a good idea. So they're going to change it to a slant type roof, which will take water away from that middle section. They're also going to extend it. I mean, it went down about 2/3 of the building, but for very little, you can extend it all the way down to the end of the building, which will give us additional space. So we're going to look at doing that. And then we looked at changing the drainage type things from like a large shower type drain to a trench type drain, which will work much better in this particular application. Bill, was there any other changes? That was that was pretty much it where we were looking at in terms of changing.
That's it.
And-
Putting
Main
a metal roof on it instead of shingles.
Right, metal roof and
Oh,
stuff.
they didn't change to the,
Yeah.
So that'll work out, for
So will we go back over the existing shelter with the metal roof as well, or will it just be on the
new part.
Just be on the new
part?
part.
Did y'all ask about possibly a little awning or porch over the front door?
I've got that on the list, we will do that. And also, this little section of roadway right in front of the animal shelter, up until the stop sign that goes into the school has already been resurfaced, but this area in front of the animal shelter is pretty rough. It's an old surface treatment, and what we're going to do is add that to our paving project, and we're going to have that resurfaced and striped as well, so it'll look, really good coming into the shelter. And so that's something else we've added there. So wanted to,
Would that bring in more parking, or you just, it's gonna,
just going to fix the road.
Fix
The
the
road
road.
is just kind of broken and cracked and doesn't look good, and we thought with we're doing all the work at the shelter, and it's only like, I think, 600 feet over, so it's not much.
It's not
But
much.
it'll work out, real well to be able to do that. As I said earlier, FEMA is here this morning. They've been working with us, and I know Bill and Chris, Tyrell and Bruce, others have done a really good job, Bill's staff, Public Works staff, in getting information. The first aspect of it, which is the emergency response, including barricades and whatever, I think it's been completed, and so they'll be processing that, and we'll receive dollars back on that. And then, as I say, today, we're going to go out and take a look at the roadways that are still unrepaired. They have been riding and looking with Public Works over some of the roads we've already repaired, and so we're going to get some dollars with that. One of the things that they've done, and I appreciate them doing this, instead of looking, because they have a $3,100 or so threshold. So if you had 2,000 here, 2,000 here, 2,000 here, they could have looked at it and said, well, those are 3 projects, they don't qualify. But they understand that transportation is a network, and because of that, they're going to allow us to be able to put all those together to be able to be sure that we do and go over that threshold with each of them. So we could end up, with 10 roads, if they were $2,500 a piece, that'd be $25,000 that we wouldn't have gotten without them looking at it as a network. So that's a good thing. We appreciate them working with us on that. Water and sewer bonds have closed. Everything is final on that. That's a big check mark on projects. Chris Tucker was not here today. He is at the FEMA meeting. He did ask that we invite everybody to a storm spotter class, which is going to be held here at the administration building at 6 p.m. And this is through the National Weather Service. And I think public
That's tonight?
tonight at 6 p.m. And also, I think we've got in a couple pieces of the equipment for Public Works. We're still waiting on the delivery of the backhoe, and the other equipment is in place.
Okay.
And so we appreciate that, appreciate your support. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Now we have